Okay, so if you were not with us today, this is the information that goes in your table of contents, and then on the next page of your notebook, you also need to write your objective. Also, if you were not here today, you need to know that you missed a quiz and will need to come and make that up on your own time, either before or after school. Write down all of the information. Okay, I'm going to do a little review of angles. You don't really need to write this down unless you really feel like you need the information in your notebook, but I do know this word right here, which is vertex. So best thing you could probably do is draw the picture on the right and put that in your notebook. So really quickly, the ray of an angle is composed of two rays. Where the two rays meet, the point right here is called the vertex. So you need to and write that information down. Okay, and this is probably a review for most of you also. So an acute angle is an angle whose measure is less than 90 degrees. And then we have right angles, which are exactly 90, and obtuse, which are between 90 and 180. And then, of course, a straight angle, which makes a straight line, is exactly 180 degrees. So if you're not familiar with these terms, this vocabulary, please pause and write them in your notebook. You will be responsible for them on the test next week. Okay, please take a moment and classify those 8 different angles up there. All right, so if you said this one was acute, you were correct. This one was obtuse. This one should be a straight angle, and this one should be a right angle or a 90-degree angle. Okay. At the bottom here, this is obtuse because it's greater than 90. This is a right angle because it's exactly 90. This is a straight angle because it's exactly 180, and of course this one was an acute angle because it is less than 90. Okay, take a moment to make yourself a little X and Y coordinate graph. In your notes, and plot the following points and tell me whether the angle created, let's call this point A, let's call this point B, and let's call this point C. Tell me whether the angle created is an acute angle, an obtuse angle, a right angle, or a straight angle. So go ahead and plot those points. Pause the video while you're doing so, and then come back to me when you're finished. All right, so my points show me that I have an obtuse angle right here. So greater than 90, but not quite 180. All right, when you're naming your angles, there's 4 different ways that you can name them. The obvious 2 are using the 3-letter system, starting with one of the rays. So I could say C, D, E. So here's the notation, angle, C, D, E. I could also go in reverse order and say E, D, C. I could also say E, D, C. Okay. You could not say angle ECD. The middle letter has got to be the vertex. Notice right here the D, which is the vertex, is in the middle, and also the D is in the middle in this one. The vertex point has got to be the middle point when you're naming angles. Right, there's another way that you can name angles, and that is by the letter down here by the vertex. So I could call this angle D. I could also call it the 1 right here that's on the inside of the angle. I could also call it angle 1. Please do not confuse this number 1 with this notation, which means 1 degree. With the degree symbol, that means the angle measures 1 degree. Okay? Without the degree symbol, I can call that angle 1. You will rarely see all 4 of those markings on a single angle, but be aware that you could see any combination of them, or maybe you might only see 1. So you need to understand what they all mean. Okay, important note is you cannot use the 1-letter naming method when there are adjacent angles. So adjacent angles we're going to talk about in a minute. But basically what this is saying is I cannot call this angle B because I have 2 angles here that are sharing that vertex. So I can't specify, how do I know which one is angle B? So you cannot use that letter naming system, a single letter naming system, when you have 2 angles that are next to each other like that. Okay, so here's the 4 ways that we could name those angles, just as a little review. Take a moment and check it out. Write it in your notes if you need to. Okay, here's new vocabulary. You need to know this word because you will be seeing it throughout the year. These are called adjacent angles. Adjacent angles basically are 2 angles that share a vertex and they have a common side. This angle right here, angle XYW, and then I also have this angle right here, angle WYZ. Notice that they are sharing a vertex and they are also sharing a common side. That is adjacent angles. So we could say that angle XYW is adjacent to angle WYZ. Okay, adjacent angles. Oops, I misspelled adjacent. I'm going to go back and put a T up there. Adjacent to. All right. Angle addition postulate. Please pause the video and write down especially this whole sentence right here. That's really important. If you would prefer the angle symbol that looks like this, that's perfectly fine. But please make sure that you write down the whole formula or the equation and the image. Okay, so let's go up and talk about what this means up here, okay? As you might have seen or figured out already, geometry is loaded with symbolism, and you need to be able to translate those symbols into words and read them like a sentence. So I'm going to read this to you, and I want you to follow along with what I'm saying. This says the measure of angle AOC, so the measure of angle AOC plus the measure, M stands for measure, of angle COD, so now I'm talking about the measure of angle COD, is equal to the measure of AOD. So this is very similar to what we were doing with line segments, where when we had 2 little line segments, we added them together, we got 1 big line segment. So same principle. If I have 2 smaller angles, for example, I have these 2 smaller angles and I add them together, I get 1 bigger angle. All right, so for example, let's say that this angle AOC was equal to 12 degrees. And let's say that angle COD was equal to 10 degrees. Well then, of course, the whole angle would have to be 12 plus 10, which is equal to 22 degrees. Common sense, right? Okay, so let's see if we can follow along. Reading these like a road map. This says the measure of angle JKL over here, and I'm going to mark off my JKL angle, which is this. so I'm talking about this angle, is equal to 46. And the measure of, let's go back, measure of angle LKM equals 18. So I've got LKM, by the way, these are adjacent angles, is equal to 18. So then, of course, the measure of my whole angle would have to be 46 plus 18, which is 64. Okay, seems easy enough, right? Okay, this is a similar one, except now this time I'm looking for JKL, so I don't know what this one is. My angle LKM is 21, and the big angle is 88. All right, so I'm going to find my missing piece by starting with the big angle and subtracting the little one, and that will give me 67 degrees. Okay, so here comes the algebra. Same principle, the two little angles added together make one big angle. So all you have to do is read the road map, right? So I'm going to start out with angle ABC, which is my big angle, is 122. So my big angle is 122. Then the measure of ABD, so ABD is this guy right here, that is 8x plus 20. And the measure of DBC, which would be this little guy right here, is going to be 22x. All right, here we go. Angle addition. The two angles added together have to equal the big angle, which is 122 degrees. So 8x plus 20 plus 22x minus 3 is equal to 122. Okay? Simple solving equation skills. I have to combine my like terms. So the x's added together are going to give me 30. The constants added together, 20 minus 3 is going to give me 17 equals 122. If I subtract 17 from both sides, because I need to get this number over here, I need to get this over here on the other side, so that will give me 30x equals 105. And then when I divide both sides by 30, x is going to be equal to 3.5. All right, so x is equal to 3.5. All right, I also, it looks like, need to find the measure of angle ABD. So I need to plug in 3.5 into this guy, which was ABD. So it's equal to 8 times 3.5 plus 20. And you can do the math on that in your calculator. All right, I want to talk about this word right here, interior. You probably heard it before, and you may know what it means, but try to picture what this phrase is saying. Point E is on the interior of angle FGH. So that's telling me I've got some angle. Here's my angle FGH right here. Point E is on the interior. Interior means inside. So if I had another angle, say like this, and I said I had a point on the interior, it would be like that, right on the inside of the angle. So you could, now I'm given some information here, so this is really no different than what we just did. I'm going to say that 110 degrees plus 3x plus 11 is equal to 16x plus 4, and then you could go ahead and finish up that equation solving on your own. So pause a minute to take care of that, please, and then come back. Okay, take a minute, try this one on your own. Point K is on the interior of MRV, and then it goes on to give you the information of the individual angles, and it's asking you to find the measure of MRK. So go ahead and pause the video and come up with your drawing. I need you to make an image because none was given, and then find the measure of the angle. All right, so there's the image I came up with. Notice I have my little right angle marking down here in the corner for MRW because it told me it was a 90-degree angle. If you didn't pick up on that, don't worry too much about it. We're going to get more into 90-degree angles in the next unit. But just be aware of it for next time. All right, so this is going to give me 4x plus 6 equals 90 when I put my x terms, together. 3x plus x gives me 4x. When I subtract 6 from both sides, I get 4x equals 84 and x equals 21. So you should be able to go ahead and plug that in to your equations, and let's see what happens. 3 times 21 is 63. 21 plus 6 is 27, and they do indeed add up to 90. Okay, gonna go ahead and pause the video now, or stop the video now. Homework 1.3 is due tomorrow. You can find that also on the website if you're watching this video, and hope to see you tomorrow.